you get a really heavy downpour, it just sends off loads of runoff everywhere, and it doesn't have time to soak into the ground. There's too much water for it to soak into the ground. I mean, some of it does, but most of it just washes away like this. And you see it coming from like everywhere and just making its way to the nearest river, which suddenly rises up, and then you get kind of like a wave that comes down, like a kind of flash flood, and suddenly the river goes from being a little trickle to this, and it's of course you've got all this still coming into it, so it's going to raise more. You might have seen the other day I did a video about this little stream, and it was so shallow that I was able to wade in it, and it's been really shallow all through the winter because we've had such little rain. But when we've had a sudden downpour, it has gone up and then drastically gone down again because there's not been enough continuous rain to soak into the water table. I'm going to go across this bog. The ground is really squishy here because it's like a peat bog, I guess, but it's not too much of a bad one. But it is squishier than it was the other day, and these like seasonal bogs haven't been kind of fully saturated this year, so that's a good sign. So be careful on it. This step on comes to vegetation and tread carefully. So this was literally, it's been like just 6 inches, 4 inches deep, but now there's been too much current to wade through it, and even these little trees on the edge are sort of under the water. This little river here, it doesn't come from very far, so it's not going to take the floodwater long to reach here. And every time you get a different downpour, you get another flood wave that it raises up a bit higher again. When you have more like gradual rain, the river kind of rises gradually, but here it could rise dramatically, and there could be another flood wave coming in any time, you know, because it's been like very heavy rain. It's likely to be continuously on the rise. So I kind of keep an eye on it. And it's just coming through the bridge there, and it's pouring over the road there. So it's kind of loads and loads of rain right then across here. Here where you've got a little boggy tributary coming in, where normally you'd sort of get across here, it's a bit more tricky. Might be able to get to there. Normally I go over here, or I could go around there, but it's sort of boggy there. So either here or there. Then maybe here. Quite boggy here, so I'll step on the clumps of rushes, hold onto this tree like a pole vault. Almost made it. Look at it. Look quick at that. That's just really slot that is. And then here it's like on solid ground. That's better. There's kind of really one of the ground there. And then there's older tree here is right in the river now, and it's still on the rise. This little patch down here is less boggy because it's got the river there and all the excess water can pour off and it doesn't kind of build up and make a bog. But yeah, there's loads of water here. Just a little bit higher and it would come over this little floodplain bit, but it's all right for now. But you can still see all this swirling water eats away at these river cliffs, and it's always a constant change going on. But when it's really turbulent and the more water there is, the more change you get. Usually the rivers eat on the outside of the meander, there's erosion there, and usually they deposit on this side. But when the river is quite fast flowing like this, it can be quite random because boulders and trees will send water in all directions, so you get all sorts of things going on. Here it's eroding a bit here, and usually where the highest force of the water is where it's eroding the most. So there's no way of going across that now, it'd be swept away. But just the other day, I was able to just wade across here. Very turbulent today. Just a bit more rain and all this will be covered in water as well. Whoa. Usually this little strip along the riverbank is often the driest place to walk because water can escape into the river and you don't get the water building up. And the further this way you go, the more squishy it gets. You look over there and the whole bottom of the valley is really very wet and squishy, and more so the wetter it is, you've got a kind of like a dry zone. So up here, when the river's been high, you can see there's silt left here. So this is silt that's deposited on the edge of the river. It's quite sandy as well, and get a load of it. You can see how sandy it is, and of course sand, water drains through sand really easily. So you've got like a sandy, drier kind of lump, like a levee going all along the side of the river, and that makes it kind of drier. But that also creates a bit of a dam, so what's behind it gets more boggy. It's more apparent on like a really flat floodplain, where the river then gets higher and higher, pours over the levee, and then fills in the land behind, and that kind of reduces flooding. But here it's more of a upstream valley, where it's more V-shaped, and it's like a slope here, but still it traps lots of water on this bog behind here. So that makes the river, just along the riverbank, the best place to walk, because you've always got to be really, really careful, because it's a very strong current like this. You've got little tributaries coming in like this. You get these very boggy bits, and look at that. I can step on the rushes, like here, or maybe some right on the riverbank, right there. That's okay. And if you sort of head for the middle of the plant and step there, you see it's quite solid ground. And then just to the side of it is really squishy. So they kind of make little islands to stand on. And on one there, and hold on to a branch, and hold on to that. Yes, if I step on this mud here, see, it's really squishy and sinky. Just hold on to this tree for support, and make sure I step on the rush there. Whoa. And kind of on the other side. All trees are just great, like rivers, you know, they're such strong trees, and they're totally adapted to this sort of thing, and they just hold the riverbank together so well. In fact, the river's more likely to go round them than undermine them and knock them down, and they're just brilliant for holding the riverbanks together. I wonder what this is like. It's not too bad. You see, even here, right by the river, it's just about doable, but as you even get to here, it's more squishy, and here more so, and the more further that way I get there, the more squishy it is. So yeah, the rivers are just there. They're definitely the best way to navigate. But you can see here that the river's been higher, because look at these rushes that have all been swept down this way, and that just shows that the river has been higher, as well as the telltale levels of silt here, like this one, you see. So the river has been right up to here in the recent past, and you can see all the flattened down grass here. So it's been up this high recently, and with all the heavy rain we've recently had, it's likely to raise up again. It's difficult to tell if it's going up or down at the moment. I think it's likely to go up because we had some really, really heavy downpours. But it is nice to see it really like dramatic with lots of water in it. It's been so low for so long. I've never known it to be so low as it has this year, because we haven't had really any decent or continuous rain since March or April last year. So it's been there's no autumn rains. All we've had is like long dry spells, and then a heavy downpour, and then lots of like floods and ponds going up and everything, but because there's not enough water in the water table, it's then gone down again. But yeah, it looks a bit more promising this week, so that's good. And it's really nice to see the rivers when they're like this. I'll go and look up there and see what the little swamp's like up there now. Over the swamp or jump. I'm going to try jump this time. Not with too much fun up here. Oh, yes! Right, that's good. So this is quite good. Naturally there's usually growing on the edge. Right, if I go around this way. This bit's much wider than it usually is. Usually like a big kind of sandy river island there, but it's completely disappeared, but I believe all this bit is quite shallow. But I think I'm going to attempt to get across this way. It certainly does get a lot higher and more dramatic than this, but it is still dramatic nevertheless. And you can see how wet the moors are on the sides there and how kind of swollen this little river is. And here there's this little reforested swamp here, which is usually just about navigable, but you can see all the water running through it, and how much of it is like underwater, and then everything has to squeeze through this like really narrow little gap here to go under the bridge. And usually I walk that way. There's like a sort of dry-ish footpath along the river that way. It doesn't look very navigable there today. So as it goes onto that little, what is now an island, and then I climb across those trees and then get to that bit possibly.
This is much more straightforward usually, but it's still possible to get around here. Just have to climb up the edge of these like tangled suckers on the edge of these alder trees, just hold on to the trunks, and then this little bit of root sticking out here. And usually I can cross over up this little hazel tree here, just like holding onto that and heading up like this, and then sort of I can climb down the other side, but I'm not sure. The other side looks a bit boggy and flooded today, so I'm going to perhaps go back this way again. And any further inland here, it's just really, really boggy and sinky. So this is like on these tangled roots around the edge of the tree here, and these banks and levees. It's the only real way not to be sinking in mud.
A little bit different today, kind of just exploring a really full river. And it's really nice to see there's more water in the rivers because they've been so low. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you press the little me down there somewhere, well, you can see all of my other videos. And if you have any questions, please ask. And I shall see you next time.